Healthy comparing can motivate and inspire us to face challenges. And unhealthy comparing can, well, leave us feeling small and insignificant. Today, I'm going to talk about how to navigate comparing so you can be motivated and inspired. Let's get going. Welcome. I am Dr. Tracy Dickens, a psychologist. If it's your first time here, welcome. If you've been here before, well, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Today, I'm going to be talking about the cognitive distortion comparing. When you compare yourself to the people around you, it helps you identify where you are in the lineup. It helps you identify your tribe, helps you identify what's important to you, the goals that you want to achieve. So comparing is important to do. There's two ways that we can compare ourselves. The first way is upward comparing. This is when we see somebody that is better at something that we would want to do. So I love reading and I love writing. One of my favorite books is To Kill a Mockingbird, and the author is Harper Lee. And Harper Lee just is this amazing writer. And I know I can't be a writer like Harper Lee. I'm going to be a writer like Tracy Dickens. But I can look at Harper Lee's work and I can get inspired and I can get ideas about how to become a better writer. Having that person that we can look up to, it can really be motivating and give us ideas about how to achieve a goal. So it sounds pretty great, this upward comparing. Well, it is until it gets distorted. Sometimes we can focus so much on what the person has achieved that we fail to recognize the steps that it took for that person to get there. I mean, Harper Lee didn't just sit down one day and pen To Kill a Mockingbird and boom, automatically it became a bestseller. No, it didn't happen like that at all. She put a lot of time and effort and work into writing that book. We will celebrate celebrities and CEOs of companies, and we think, yeah, I want that. I want to do that. I want to achieve that. Upward comparing is good, but we have to recognize the steps that it takes to get there, and we have to believe that we can actually do those steps. And when we don't see, we can feel unmotivated. There's the second kind of comparing. Downward comparing, this is when you identify someone that is not doing as well as you are at a task or a skill. And this can be something that can build your confidence and remind you that you have made accomplishments. And as a therapist of 20 plus years now, I really recognize this whenever we have students. Oh, I remember being that therapist and sitting in the room and being really nervous about that topic when it came up. But today, I don't get nervous about it. Or if I do, I know how to navigate that feeling. Just like with upward comparing, downward comparing can also be distorted. Because we can get so focused on the fact that we have achieved something that we forget the process that allowed us to achieve. And we can become complacent and think that what we've achieved is as far as we can rise. And you'll see this sometimes with someone who had success or an achievement early in life, and then the next thing they tackled maybe didn't go as smoothly. And so they'll start to doubt that they're able to achieve anything else. That was their glory moment. So now they're feeling demotivated. So what do you do about all this? How do you navigate upward and downward and the distortions and keep it where it needs to be, where you're motivated? Well, I'm glad you asked because, of course, I'm going to give you some tips. Tip number 1, the grass is greener where you water it. What? What does that mean? Oftentimes we'll look at our neighbor's lawn and go, wow, neighbor, great yard. Yeah, that looks great. And we're not watering our lawn because we're so busy watching our neighbor's lawn. So in other words, what do you have? What's in your yard? Water your yard. Spend time taking note of the skills that you have, the abilities that you have. How can you nurture and develop those skills and abilities so they grow and develop so you can see that you, dear friend, can have an amazing yard also. Number 2, accept you. Accept who you are. When I was younger, I got in trouble all the time for talking. All the time. All the time. I mean, I talk in my sleep, y'all. I mean, come on. I got in trouble all the time. But look at me now. I'm using that talking ability to entertain and educate you here on YouTube. And I use it with my clients. So what was once problematic and I thought was a nuisance, actually, when I learned how to use it for good, it actually became something that was really powerful and rewarding and an amazing gift. So those things that you think are odd or challenging or difficult, sometimes it's just a matter of looking at them in a different way, shifting your perspective, and seeing how you can use that quirk, that uniqueness, in a powerful, motivating way. Number 3, love your past. A lot of times we look at our past and we see the mistakes that we've made. We see our insecurities and our hurts and our struggles, and we just stay focused on that and nothing more. Everybody has hurts and betrayals and rejections, and we've been told things about ourselves that may be true and may not be true. But at the heart of it, we all have imperfections. And a lot of times we spend so much time trying to cover up those imperfections and try to find ways to hide our insecurities instead of facing them. Just own it. Recognize that, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm a person who's put here to be progressing and to be evolving and changing. And as a person of faith, going to God and allowing Him to show you how to overcome them by listening to what He says about who you are and what you're capable of doing and being. You'll find that the impact of those insecurities will get less in time, and you'll be able to stand in the true freedom of who you are. Number 4, lean in. Come on, lean in. Social media detox. I know, you hear it all the time, but for real, detox. And when you come back from your social media vacation, look at your feed. Are they healthy upward comparing? Are they healthy downward comparing? Are they inspiring you and motivating you to be the best you? If they're not, they don't need to be feeding you nothing. Got it? Good. The best is for last. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Boom. Be you. Like, what? That's it? Be you? Yes. Be you. Not the you that society tries to make us become, but the you that you were designed to be. We're all messy and flawed, but getting a good stock of what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? How can you use that knowledge to serve other people and to love other people and to care for other people? As a Christian, that being you part, that really needs to be getting fed by God. That needs to be anchored in who He says you are. And if you're not sure who He says you are, I think a great starting place is Ephesians 1 and 2. Take your time through it. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And just get to know who you are and the potential you have to influence the world in a positive way, in a beautiful way. You have gifts and talents that the world needs, and get out there and use them, because you, my friend, were beautifully and wonderfully made. Thank you so much for watching this video today and sharing your time with me. If you liked the video, push the thumbs up and subscribe and share with your friends and family. And until next time, choose joy. Take care.